Duckman here. Welcome to Weekend Warriors today. I'm down here at the Coolabah Hotel with Mahalia Murphy, International superstar in Women's Rugby League and Rugby Union, and also a bit of an athlete. Mahalia, thanks for being here today. Enjoyed the opportunity to come down and chat to you.
No, thanks for having me. It's good to be here and speak a bit about myself, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I've heard your nickname is Marley too.
Yeah, so I get called a couple of names. Mahalia, obviously my main name, and then my nicknames are Marley and Miles.
Yeah, that's all right. So I want to thank Mick West for setting this up too. So he was chatting to you through the year last year and helped tee this up. So I chatted to him at the grand final last year for Shoot Shield and told him we teed this up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to today's chat. So we'll start off with just wanted to ask you. So you got tell us a little bit about your background for everyone that doesn't know.
So I grew up in Western Sydney.
Yeah.
And I started off doing athletics as a kid.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until I finished high school that I got involved with rugby. And even as a kid, like I didn't start doing athletics professionally until I was about 14. But I was just always an active kid, wanted to play every sport I could, and then it kind of just evolved from when I first played, first done athletics at my primary school, and then got offered a sporting contract for Hill Sports High School. And then I went there for my sporting years and then all my high school years and done athletics and trained 2 days a week, and then kind of really set Kath Freeman as my inspiration. And then that was my dream, was to go to the Olympics and represent Australia for athletics, but at the end of high school it kind of just changed and switched up into rugby.
So what was the driving influence to come into the rugby? How did that come about? Because I know you went into the Sevens rugby program when you were 15, but in 2015, sorry, so what you would have been in your early 20s maybe, something like that.
Yeah, I played rugby 15s and rugby league on the weekends after I finished high school. And I got selected for the Australian league team, and then I played up in Queensland in 2015 against New Zealand, and within a month of playing that game, the rugby sevens coach contacted me and asked if I was interested in going to Papua New Guinea for the Pacific Games.
Yeah. And I heard you did quite well when you were at Pacific Games, scored a few tries, made a bit of a name for yourself.
Yeah, I went over there and played with a bang, really. I didn't really expect to perform the way I did. I didn't really understand the sport that much at that time as well. I just knew that, you had to run with the ball and tackle the person with the ball. So I went over there and just, done what I did, and then earned my full-time contract after that tournament.
Yeah, that's a huge achievement. So particularly coming from Western Sydney. Now, understand your family are from Walgett, so your dad was out there. Did you get born in Walgett and grow up there as well? Or?
No, I was actually born in Blacktown.
Yeah.
I was born in Blacktown and grew up in Doonside.
Okay, yeah.
But all my mob's from Walgett, yeah.
Yeah. So did your family have any history of rugby union or rugby league or anything like that before you were born?
No, only my sister, like not before I was born, but when I was 14, she was playing rugby 15s with Penrith Sheavies.
Yeah.
And that's basically how I first got involved with rugby. A couple of the girls didn't turn up for the game, and I used to run the ward for the girls, and a couple of girls didn't turn up and they asked my mum if I could play. Mum said no. She was like, no way, she does athletics, I don't want her to break her leg, because if she breaks her leg she won't be able to play. So she was just being a pedantic mum, and then in second half all the girls were tired and buggered because they had no subs, and then they asked my mum again, even if it's for 5 minutes please, like could she just jump on the field and just help the girls out for 5 minutes? She eventually said yes, and then jumped on the field, and like I said, I didn't know how to play the game. Just from watching, I knew you just run with the ball, score a try and tackle the person with the ball. Didn't know nothing about rucks or anything. And I jumped on the wing, had about 10-15 metres of space to run in, and I decided to tippy-toe along the sideline because I was scared of getting tackled because I'd never played contact sport. But then I scored my first try, and that's how I first kind of grew my passion to play rugby. It was that one game that I was like, wow, this is so different, playing in a team sport rather than in athletics that you're against everybody else and you're training by yourself. So I really enjoyed the team atmosphere aspect of the game.
So what year do you reckon that would have been when that happened for you? First game of rugby?
I wasn't even meant to play because I was too young. I was about 15, 14. And then I had to wait until I finished high school. But I just remember going, I want to play rugby, I want to play rugby. And I was like, you wait till you're 16, 17. And then once I finished high school, moved away to Nowra and started to study policing. And I'd come back on a Friday night, play rugby on Saturday, play league on Sunday, go back home Sunday night and study all week. So that's how it happened.
Yeah. So no boy influences or anything like that? Didn't have a boyfriend that dragged you into it, or?
No, it was actually not at all. No boy had no influence at all. It was just my sister was playing. No girls turned, like a couple of girls didn't turn up for subs. Chucked me on the wing, and there I was.
That's a good story. I like that. I like how that came off. I was going to ask you how you got into it and what club it was, because I read a couple of little things about you. You said you kicked off at Penrith, and I wondered if you might have had some experience with the Shemus.
Yeah.
So my first experience with women's rugby was actually with the Shemus when I was playing in lower grade, like Henderson Cup for Penrith in 2009. And I thought they were quite a competitive side, and they were good to watch. So they're very competitive. The competition wasn't very big, but it's obviously grown a lot now.
Yeah.
So this year, with did you catch any of the women's rugby game, Jack Scott Cup games, or anything this year at all?
Did I catch? Yeah, I played. So the women's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played in Two Blues.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good comp. Every team's getting stronger and stronger each year, I feel. I've played in the last couple of years, the 15s, especially leading into World Cup year. I've been able to play in that competition more, just so I've got more 15s games under my belt, because I was mainly with 7s and contracted with the 7s. So yeah, only leading into World Cup I'm able to play in that comp. So obviously World Cup's this year, so
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing this year again.
No, I had the pleasure this year. I commentated Clutch TV for the first time. Never done that before, and I got exposed to some Jack Scott Cup women's games and got to do the Two Blues semi-final against Warringah. And like, I already knew going into the game that Evie Horomia was New South Wales Player of the Year, so I had big expectations, and she delivered. She did a good job, and the Two Blues were on top for most of the game. And Chloe Dalton just slipped under the radar. I didn't even think about the fact that she played in the 2016 Olympics for the Sevens, and she just turned the game. 30 seconds to go, turned the game, got them back level, and then got a clutch try right at the end into injury time, and that won the game. I just couldn't believe it. So the standard for women's rugby is massive. It's excellent to watch, and there's some superstars out there I recommend for everybody to see.
There's a lot more opportunities for girls to get involved these days and develop their skills, and I think that's showcasing now. So
yeah,
it's good.
Absolutely. We'll go back to how you said you're at Hill Sports High School. What was your time like at Hill Sports High School, particularly being an Indigenous girl, doing athletics and all these different sorts of things?
Yeah, my experience in high school wasn't that great. To be honest, I was more of the, I guess, practical student. I didn't really, like, I do homework and do my classwork and stuff, but I was always so excited to do the practical stuff, like training and all the sports subjects and stuff like that. But I found it a bit hard when I got out of high school though to get a job, because I didn't really pay attention in class as much as I should have and could have. But in terms of being Indigenous, I was one of a few that was Indigenous at that school, and it wasn't easy. Faced a fair few racist situations, and at that time I just didn't really know how to deal with it. At that time I just was like, block people out, just ignore them, just come here and do what I have to do and then go home. But now that I'm out of high school, the people that used to say all that stuff are now trying to talk to me and stuff like that. So with people that I guess kind of don't have an understanding of what it's like.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, at that time they didn't really, I guess, have an understanding of, who I was and what our culture is and stuff like that. At that time I didn't really pay attention. But like now that I'm older and understand it and know how to deal with it more, like if I had ever faced anything these days, I'd deal with it in a better way to try and help them understand But yeah, but other than that, at the school it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Had, different kind of circles of friends. Yeah, just I was pretty quiet. I was a pretty quiet student.
Yeah.
But I'm a whole different person now, that's for sure. Whole different person now.
I've seen some of your dance videos on Instagram. Yeah. One this morning. Is it your boyfriend that grabbed the broom or vacuum or whatever?
No, that's actually a friend of mine. That's my niece's friend, actually.
Yeah.
He comes around and sees us all the time and pops in and stuff like that. But I was having a good little dance last night and a good little sing, and then he tried to take away my microphone. And I was like, you ain't stealing my show.
Yeah. Had a bit of Beyonce stuff happen, and then you got the rage going and threw a couple of kicks and stuff. So
yeah, I went from Beyonce to like Jackie Chan or something. Yeah.
Just went all hectic on him. So
yeah.
So all right. So what would you suggest for a young girl wanting to get into professional sports, particularly an Indigenous person who, let's say, come from not the Hill Sports High School? A lot of people I've come across over the years, and I played rugby against them too. They were fairly affluent, most of the people who went there, so that would have made it difficult all on its own. You're not coming from probably the wealthiest background, the university to be there. Did you feel barriers just from that alone, or were you more accepted because you were into sports and all of these different sorts of stuff?
Yeah, I think it was just more of my ability. Like the ability was what got me there, and potential.
Yeah.
They seen potential, obviously, but like I don't think in terms of the race and stuff like that. Like it was nothing to do with that. It was just more my ability. I believe. Yeah.
So, is there any weird and quirky things you did at school, or anything that you liked? You said you weren't real academic or anything like that. What subjects did you like outside the sports things and that? Do you have anything go, I could be running a cooking show because I was really good at the home economics stuff or anything like that?
I was really good at the subjects that the teachers were really cool. So the cool teachers were the subjects that I was good at.
Science, maybe?
Oh, no, definitely not science. No, definitely not science. Yeah, not science. No.
Yeah.
I was good at English, geography.
Yeah.
What else? Just like all the practical stuff, like textiles, making, teddies and stuff like that we do in school. Cooking, I was good at cooking. Just more practical stuff I was good at.
Yeah.
But in terms of like theory, I was probably more better at English and geography.
Yeah. I was in high school. I took home economics on because I realised that the cooking classes were right before lunch. I could have lunch twice in the day, so it was only $10 a year. That was a pretty good value to have lunch twice in the day.
That is good. Can't go wrong there.
All right, we'll keep rolling through these questions. So, you played 7s and 15s rugby for Australia. Which one did you think was the hardest sport to adapt to? And
Definitely
why?
7s. Definitely 7s. Hands down 7s, because it's such an intense sport. It doesn't matter how fit you are. Like you're always tested with your fitness. And obviously the difference between 7 people on the field to 15 people on the field. 7 people, you're like in every second ruck. And it's 7 minutes a half, but it's like it feels like 80 minutes. All compacted in 7 minutes. But just the whole technical side of 7s as well. Like obviously with 15s you have more bodies on the field, and it's more I guess you're more confident in making contact because you've got more bodies around you and smaller spaces to cover, whereas 7s you've got 7 people and the width of the field is 70 metres, so you're covering 10 metres, you're on your own. So I definitely feel in terms of intensity, 7s is a lot more harder to adapt to.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think under fatigue, you've got to cover so much more space, and it's like, this person's going to run, I've got to try and manage to get her down any way I can. It doesn't matter how, obviously not pulling hair or anything, but it's more technical rather than 15s. 15s, they kind of, almost run into you a lot. So, yeah.
So I've played 7s before, had the experience. The last 7s tournament I played in, all big dudes like me, we got cooked. Pretty hard, so all props and locks and...
That would have been interesting to watch.
We were drinking a lot of alcohol, so it didn't really help anything, but started trying to pop field goals and you were in trouble and starting to do that in a 7s game, so that wasn't handy at all. Are you in contention at the moment to be in the Olympic squad?
Not at the moment. I'm not really playing 7s at the moment. Focusing more on 15s.
Yeah.
But I guess I've always had that Olympic dream, and that's all. Like even now, like I'm still, like my dream is to still go to the Olympics. But at the moment, yeah, purely just 15s, more focused on 15s.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully things, can switch around for me in terms of sevens. And yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch much of Chikarovsky Cup games last year?
No, I didn't know. I actually was playing in a league comp, and it was at the same time as on that weekend. I was supposed to actually go there on the last round.
Yep.
And I broke my hand the day before.
Oh, really?
I was supposed to go to Bathurst. Yeah, so it's been a couple of months now since then, but yeah, it would have been good.
So, as you said, playing the league comp, that's talking it down, Women's Rugby League, playing for St George Illawarra.
Yeah.
So, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that was awesome. Obviously, the last time I played league was in 2015 when I played for the Australian Jillaroos. So, to come back and be able to play for the women's NRLW was massive, and it's developed so much since I last played in 2015. We didn't really have, we'd have our local comps around then, and then same, state of origin, and then straight into Jillaroo stuff. Whereas now they've got the women's NRLW comp going, and there's more, I guess, pathways and games for the girls to play. So yeah, it was exciting. It was good fun, good experience.
Who's the best player in that competition you come across?
Best player, ooh, that's interesting. I'm not quite sure who I personally feel.
Is Ali Brickenshaw? She's the Brisbane Cup. She's pretty good.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Ali Brickenshaw. Yeah, she's playing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's like a real good role model leader. Seems to lead by example a lot. So might not even be the best on the field, but step it up a level every time she seems to go up there.
Yeah, she does the job very well, and she leads the team well. Yeah, she's a good player. I'd probably say her skill and just the way she plays. So I guess she just looks very slick on the field, and comfortable and confident, but also composed as well, which is important. So yeah.
Now got a lot of rah-rah girls who come across the Women's National Rugby League with you this year, like Elliot Green and Charlotte Caslick. So a lot of banter going on and jibing each other and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you got nothing, you got no speed, and you're just giving it to each other all the time, or what?
Yeah, well, people have their opinions, I guess, but obviously they went out there and played great. Ellie is just a phenomenal athlete, and Charlotte's awesome. She's good at playmaking. She's got the skill and footwork and the speed to do it. So, to see them play different sport and use, the skills that they obviously developed in rugby sevens was interesting, and there was a lot of people that had, some stuff to say about them, but, they went out there and played well.
Yeah. So the Women's Rugby League, then it's not like all full of heaps of lippy crap like happens in some men's and the rugby and that stuff. So a lot of guys will give you a spray in rugby and in men's rugby league if they just think, they just will do it to try to play the head games and that stuff.
Yeah, I think the men are more vocal.
Yeah.
Vocal with their opinions. Whereas I guess the women, they kind of just have their opinions and talk amongst themselves, but they're not as vocal, I don't think. And obviously the men's stuff gets more publicised.
Yeah.
About whatever they say about other players or whatever they think about other players, and I
think the media beef it up a lot too to try to make things out of stuff that's not really happening, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on the field, like I've seen on the field too, but it's not as bad as what they like to try to make the biggest things out of nothing.
Yeah, they try and stir the pot for all the viewers and stuff. So yeah.
Now your junior rugby league club was Doonside. Were you playing in an integrated side, boys and girls at the time, or were you playing in a dedicated girls side?
Yeah, I played. I think I was about 9. It was the same year that we had to stop.
Yeah.
Because we were females. There was only me and one other girl in that team, and I only played half the season, only because my neighbour, he was playing in the team, and they were like, Mahalia, you should come down and play. So I decided to go down and play, but yeah, I only got to play half the season, and I had to stop, and then started back up after high school again. Yeah.
So you've definitely enjoyed going back into the sport and playing rugby and playing league as well.
Yeah.
So one observation I made of the Women's Rugby League, and this really the only flaw I see with it, I'm not sure the administrators are really invested in the game, because I think the game could grow. It was 4 clubs last year, and I think for the game to be competitive, and I think it should keep its place, it needs to really be about 8 teams. So you're playing everybody twice, and the competition gets the respect that it deserves, and it really gets to grow.
Yeah, I think with the women's game, something they probably struggle with is probably the depth of like the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's something that's been spoken about, because obviously it'd be good to have, you know, all the teams, and even the same thing with NRL, the same chat's happening with NRLW. They were like, you know, we need more teams than just 4 teams. Like, we need to make it more interesting, more, you know, more games to watch. But I think, like, especially with the women's NRLW, likewise with 15s, like, they need the depth of the numbers of players and stuff like that to back it up, because with NRLW, obviously it's a big deal.
Yes.
It's not just a local comp. It's, you know, it's like basically equivalent to the men's NRL. So you'd want to see, you know, I guess decent players and depth of decent players, and, you know, quality players, rather than just chucking girls in and then having, like, you know, certain teams getting dominated easily. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting and something to work towards. It'd be awesome to see more teams in the comp for the 15s and stuff like that. And I think it all happened in time. Like, I remember when I first started playing rugby, you know, and I was hearing girls come in and speak about how they had to pay for their own camps and stuff like that, when they wanted to go away for Aussie Sevens, and when they wanted to go away for, like, comps and, you know, for their own club team and stuff like that. Whereas now, you know, it's developed over in time, but I feel like it's going to go further as well, go forward more in time, because now, like, teams are getting paid for playing. Some players are getting paid, so it's growing. Hopefully we can see more teams and more people get involved.
Yes.
Because it'll be good and more interesting.
Absolutely. The most encouraging thing, I suppose, I've seen the last couple of years, because I've been coaching when I get to the end of my playing days, is there's a lot more women's sevens rugby team and girls sevens rugby teams now. So the only problem I see with that, it's not any sort of structured competition, so it's like a tournament by tournament thing. But rugby are doing the right things. They're trying to grow it, and they're building it, and teams are starting to, like, come to fruition, and they've got a lot of young girls, and it's all inclusive, so everybody gets an opportunity, and it's going to grow and get bigger and bigger over the years. So it's a good institution to have, sevens, to start that up, to bring it in as a stepping stone, and hopefully from that you can build 15s and continue to grow rugby union and rugby league as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll keep looking through this. So you're tri-international, so rugby league, rugby union, and another one's athletics, I imagine.
Yeah, so I did rugby sevens, rugby 15s, and rugby league. And that all happened in the space of 2 years.
Yeah.
All that happened in the space of 2 years. I played, obviously, Gillaroos in 2015, and then signed my contract in 2015 for rugby sevens, but didn't debut until 16, sorry. And then the next year after that was World Cup, and that's where I debuted for 15s.
Yeah.
So it all happened very quickly. It didn't happen, you know, probably, like with me, I didn't expect it to happen so quick. I didn't even expect to play for Australia so quick, let alone play for 3 different codes in the space of 2 years. So yeah, it was very fortunate.
It is a remarkable achievement to do 3 different sports for the country. So
oh, for sure.
Unless they've got Eden pies or donuts or something like that, I've got nothing. So
I'll join you in that one. I might be a 4-time Australia.
So have you ever thought about maybe trying to go down the Chloe Dalton Avenue? She's also played, like, in the Women's National Basketball League and AFL. There's a few girls that have tried that and given that a bit of a run. That's something you'd be interested in? Yeah,
Chloe's, I remember when she was at sevens, and we'd play a basketball game just for fun. She was always good at basketball, and she's just a phenomenal athlete herself as well. She can kick, she can obviously run the ball, so she's pretty versatile. And I don't think I'll be playing basketball for Australia as much as I'd like to think I could. I think I definitely feel like in my head I want to be, but I don't think I'll be able to do that.
So after watching you little singing and dancing thing last night, do you reckon you can make karaoke for Australia?
I think I could go on The Voice. I definitely feel like give me the mic and
Guy Sebastian, have a look.
Who's Guy? Do you know Mahalia? No jokes. Just kidding.
So when's your record coming out?
Stay tuned.
All right. So we've gone through that. What does it feel like being an Indigenous role model for young women and people, the Aboriginal people in general?
It's great. Obviously, growing up, and as I said before earlier, faced a fair few. It literally happened on day one of high school. So after that first day, I was like, I don't want to go back to school. And then you wake up every morning and gotta go back to school and face this again. So, and knowing how long you actually spend at school, the amount of years and days and hours that you spend at school, it was pretty daunting. I used to hate the feeling waking up going, I'm going to go to school and face this again, but I'd look forward to the classes that didn't have those particular students in there. So to go from being in that kind of situation to now being someone that people look up to, it's an undescribable, I can't even describe the feeling, because it's just so, it gives me chills just thinking about it, because for other people that are facing that kind of stuff, it's important for them to have someone to look up to and be inspired by, and even me going out into communities and sharing my stories about that, it gives those other children and other people that are in that kind of situation hope.
Yeah.
To know that they can face what they face and still make it somewhere, and it doesn't matter what anyone says about you, about your ability or what you look like. It doesn't define you as a person and what you're, I guess, destined for. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, the only thing I used to tell myself was, block these people out and just focus on what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do it for me. They're not going to be people turning up to training and turning up, to whatever, to do whatever I want to do in life. It's me. So, even these days, I block people out that don't really, I guess, invest into me the way they should, or respect me or for who I am or what I do and what I look like or whatever. So yeah, I don't waste time on people like that. I just kind of focus on myself and do.
I think that's a good message to pass across, that you should invest in positive people and people who give back to you, who work around in them. So there's a lot of people, you see a lot of it on social media, people want to shoot people down, trolls, and it's too easy to destroy someone. They don't even put their real names and that stuff. It's pretty poor to do. So it is a good message to pass across.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's so easy to be, I guess, it depends on the person. Some people ain't as strong as others, and one comment can make someone, feel like crap for the rest of their life, or some people ain't that strong-headed to just be able to block them out. So I think it's important for people to kind of have that mentality and just think, people are going to always judge you no matter what.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be the people that are going to get you, to places in life. So, yeah.
What's your biggest highlight in your career to date?
So I would have to say my Gillaroos debut. In terms of rugby?
Rugby, in anything, whatever you've done, it could be across each of them.
Well, in league, it would definitely be the Gillaroos debut, because it was obviously the first time I played for Australia, and my family got to witness that because they flew to Queensland, and then obviously being player of the match and having a debut with a hat trick.
Yeah.
And then defeating New Zealand after many, many years was, I don't think you could ask for a better debut. So I was like, being able to play for Australia for the first time, representing my people, and then having my family there to watch that was just the best feeling. And I think in Sevens, my favourite moment would have been playing in Sydney Sevens.
Yeah.
And having my family there as well.
Yeah.
Because it's not often that family get to watch me play for Australia, because obviously we play internationally.
Yeah.
And then 15s would have to be the World Cup, when I debuted at World Cup in Ireland in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how big was the World Cup when you were over there? How many people, compared to the men's, was it same sort of atmosphere? Did you play at Croke Park, the Irish home of rugby?
No, I think we played somewhere in Dublin.
Yeah.
There was like a university kind of
Okay, yep.
ground that we played at, and we stayed on campus. And we were actually in camp for I think 4.5 to 5 weeks. And we spent 2 weeks in Belfast and 2 weeks in Dublin. And we played in both. So yeah, it was very good. It was strange over there though, because like the sun wasn't going down until like 10 o'clock at night. And it was you just could not sleep because it was like the sun's still out. I feel weird, you know, like
that's the Northern Hemisphere
yeah,
suns, I think.
yeah.
They're all out of whack.
Yeah.
So Irish are a bit synonymous with a bit of excessive drinking. Was there any of that going on the tour?
Yeah, I learnt what Guinness was over there. So I don't drink, but like when I went over there, everyone had this drink called Guinness, and it smelled like Vegemite. That's all I remember. I was like, this smells like Vegemite, but yeah, it was like this massive dark drink, and I was I think that was their main drink over there that they would drink.
Yeah, I'd describe it as cold coffee with tar in it or something like that. So
coffee? Oh, don't say that. I'm a coffee lover.
I notice you've got a water sitting here now. I've got a VB, so you're in tune, or getting your body back in tune for the season that's coming ahead for Women's Rugby League and rugby. Yeah,
definitely. I think after last year, because I had a fair bit of time off and was kind of in a bad headspace last year with rugby from February, and then I kind of like not lost my passion for rugby, but kind of just went through a phase where I was just over rugby and just didn't want to play anything else, and just wanted to kind of do my own thing, because I kind of just got my head stuck in a dark place and started to push people away and just didn't want to play rugby anymore. So I think as bad as COVID is, at the time that it happened, like it gave me no choice but to focus on myself and, you know, fix myself up and get to do what I want to do for me. So this year, like, I've been so excited to get back into rugby and play. Like, I played 15s last year, but my headspace wasn't there. Like, I wasn't excited to turn up to training all the time and wasn't excited to play all the time like I used to be. And this year, now that I've had my time off and time to myself and, you know, reset myself, like, my head, sitting here with my water and planning to train in the Arvo. So I'm getting excited to get back and play again this year.
Yeah. So what the Waratahs got in plan for you when you get back in the training?
Oh yeah, plenty of running. Because we only started a couple of days ago back for pre-season.
Yeah. Was that back down at Daceyville?
Yeah.
They trained down there?
Yeah.
There's not too many big hills around there. It's probably lucky.
No, not yet anyways. Yeah. We last time we played, we had pre-season, we actually went to the beaches and did sand training, and then like road runs up a hill. So I definitely feel like they've got that planned. Yeah. But I think they just want to kind of get us, I guess, you know, our body conditioned to run and move again before we start doing that stuff, because we don't want to break down so quick. So I definitely feel like we will be doing that. Yeah, it's definitely in plans.
So what's in store for Mahalia Murphy in the future?
Well, this year my focus is World Cup for 15s. But before that, I want to, you know, get fit during this pre-season and play a strong season for Super W.
Yeah.
And then post World Cup, not exactly sure. I feel like, don't know what I'm going to do after World Cup. Probably just have a good time playing maybe league. Yeah. Probably to go and play a bit of league, since there's no important games for rugby after World Cup. So yeah, I might just go and play league a bit more. Yeah.
So when I was a young kid, one of my aims I wanted to have, ambition when little, when a boy anyway, I wanted to have a footy card, my own footy card. Never got good enough to get my own footy card. Right. So I found the company that'll make them anyway, so I'm just going to get it done. Nice.
Yeah, might as well custom make your own, eh? Well, they're not going to make it for you, I'm going to make it for myself then.
Yeah, that's right, stuff it. And it could be a box set of one. So.
There you go.
So is that, all of that promotional stuff is really good for the competition. So, and starting to see it come through, in particular sports cards, women's cricket with the 2020 and with the women's netball. Do you think stuff like that would be good if they introduced that with women's rugby and the Women's National Rugby League?
Yeah, we for sevens we actually did footy card photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were selling them at service stations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a friend sent me a photo of them. Yeah, I definitely feel like things like that, it also gets, I guess, people involved as well more because it's something to, kind of collect, and it's just
And
like good little
exposure.
fun things. Yeah,
Get
exposure.
to know the people that
Exactly.
are involved in it.
Yeah, more exposure and more, I guess, awareness of who we are, what we do, and then once they get to know you. I remember post Rio, after the Olympics, how much more awareness had been throughout, Sydney, Australia, of women's rugby sevens. Because I remember before Rio, and I'd go to a school and people didn't really understand what sevens was. They didn't know who the girls were.
Yeah.
And then once the girls won gold, I'd go to schools and stuff and speak about sevens, and everyone was asking me, oh, I know this girl, I know that girl, playing Rio, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so I think like things like that makes it exciting, and obviously gives more exposure to the girls.
So who's the most influential person you've had on your life?
The most, my mum. Like I've always been, I guess, my mum's been the person that's always pushed me through and supported me in anything I wanted to do. As a kid, I guess she knew I had some type of ability to do something with myself, and she would always be the one that would take me to my games and to my trainings. And my mum's disabled, so she can't even walk longer than 5 metres without her legs hurting. So for her to even make that effort for me and support me in doing that, it'd definitely be my mum. So I definitely wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for her, because obviously at the age of 14 I can't drive myself to training and stuff like that. So
my brother used to fancy himself a driver when he was like 12, 11. 11, 12, 13, 14, but I don't think my old man liked his driving a V8 to school and back and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'm surprised if he could handle that at that age. Yeah, that's crazy.
So you said at the very start, Cathy Freeman was one of your role models too, then indigenous and everything like that. So did you watch the Sydney Olympics and see all the achievements she did and follow her career very closely?
It was very crazy because I was only very young when that actually happened. I just remember watching it at home. So I remember my mum and my dad, they went to the stadium and I was watching it on TV. Yeah. And obviously at that time, I was very young. I didn't have athletics set as a sport for me to focus on. But I just remember watching that and being like, whoa, that was amazing. Like seeing her win that and run so fast and win a gold medal, and obviously being an Indigenous lady was inspiring. And then once I got into the athletic scene, it was like, I remember that race. I want to be like Cathy Freeman. I want to be that girl. And then, like I said, like once I finished high school, boom, switched over to rugby, and that's basically where my career in sport changed. And I think that just shows as well, like you might be focused on one thing at a time, but then paths just change like that in time, and opportunities arise, and things don't go to plan as as you'd probably think it does, but
absolutely. So what message would you give to any young people and young girls watching now about following dreams and career and stuff?
I think from my own experience, I would say just have fun in what you want to do, and just take every opportunity you can with both hands and use it like it's your last, and enjoy it, and enjoy both parts of it as well, because it's not easy. Getting somewhere where I am today, it didn't come easy, and it didn't come on a silver platter. Like I had to work for it. I had to face challenges. I had to be denied, to then want to do it, make sure I do it. So I think just know that it's not going to be easy, and just it's all about your mindset.
All right. Thanks a lot for your time today. Really appreciate you coming down to Coolabah and having a chat. Try to pick somewhere that's local and easy to get to, where not too affected by COVID. So notice all social distancing and everything going on at the moment. So we're complying with that and doing the best we can. So don't try to sue me. It's not going to work. So. But thanks for your time today, Mahalia. I hope you have a successful year, and that you get back in the 15 squad and have a good World Cup when that comes up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, catch everyone again later on. Thanks for watching us on Weekend Warriors here, and just this will come up on Duckman TV a bit later on. Thanks for that. Bye.